All right, good morning. 9 o'clock on December 18th for regular court. We have a full quorum. Certified that the meeting was properly posted.
Yes.
You'll please rise for prayer and pledge. James Ray.
For you this morning, seeking your presence in this courtroom, that you may guard our hearts and our minds, that we may be focused on the task before us. I will pray for these commissioners and the judge that you lead them in the direction that you would have them go, that will do things that are pleasing unto you. Father, this morning I want to mention the fact that as we come in this Christmas season, that we remember the reason for the season. In Luke chapter 2, verse 10, it says, "And the angel said unto them, Fear not, for behold, I bring you good tidings of great joy, which shall be to all people. For unto you is born this day in the city of David a Savior, which is Christ the Lord." Father, we thank you for the willingness that Jesus Christ offered himself to come and dwell among us, that we can one day have a relationship with you, that we can be present with you in glory forever. Father, thank you for that great gift. Father, we ask, Lord, that you go with us and watch over us throughout this day. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. On the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
That flag moved. Going over there?
Oh,
Yeah, he's awful close.
we have any citizens input? I didn't get any. We have 16 items on the consent agenda.
I have no changes. I'll
I have no problem with
make a motion, we approve the consent agenda as presented.
it. Second.
All in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries. Number 17, discuss and take action to appoint Kenley Phillips to the Walker County SART Committee. Quentin,
The SART committee was the legislature a couple of years ago required Gifford County to create one sexual assault response team. It's multi disciplinary type team. The commissioners court, so you initially appointed there are certain mandatory positions that you initially appointed those people. And when those people leave, then you have to appoint their replacement. And that's what these first two items are. These people have been contacted in.
All right, I make the motion to approve agenda item 17 as presented.
second. All in favor, raise your right hand. A second. Motion carries. 18, discuss and take action to appoint Carolina Mencia to the Walker County SART Committee. That's my motion.
Second that.
Moved and seconded, all in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries. 19, receive the Walker County SART Committee biannual report and protocols.
So the legislation requires that each 2 years, the SART committee submit a report to the commissioner's court. And that's what you have here. The chairperson's not available today, but she got this to me and I put it on your desk this morning. It's basically just receiving it anyway. It's just to give you an update as to what's going on with it, the progress they're making, and you'll hear from them again in 2 years. Or so. The chairperson is Assistant District Attorney Jennifer G. There, and we have members that weren't on the court at the time that the SART was formed. There are certain law enforcement agencies, hospitals, forensic offices. There are various ones that the legislature specifically said you need a representative from each of them. And so we have to have a representative as well. And so Ms. Jenkins is the assistant DA that we assigned to that committee, and the committee decided to make her the chairperson.
Sounds good, Quentin.
Can I get y'all to email me a copy of this?
We can do that for sure.
Thank you.
We're gonna jump to 27 real fast. Discuss and take action on the appointment of Clint Wilson to the Board of Emergency Service Districts number 1.
Judge, we had an opening up on that with a non-reappointment. That ESD is getting ready to go into a pretty significant building and improvement programs. I looked for a person, a commissioner that had the knowledge of that could help guide them through. And I feel like I got a pretty good candidate out there. That's what he does for a living, is build and make and stuff like that. And he was kind enough to sit with us last Wednesday night, and is here Monday, so we didn't scare him off. So I make the motion to approve agenda item 27, appointing Clint Wilson to the ESD Emergency Service District number 1 board.
Second. All in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries.
Good luck.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. We'll swear you in, like I say, at the next meeting in January. It's good.
All right, we'll go back to number 20 now. Sorry.
Y'all are free to stay or leave, whichever one. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it.
sir.
Yes, sir. Number 20, discuss and take action to approve changing vendors for DOT random testing. Amy? Morning. And Tina.
And Tina, hold on with me.
Good morning. Good.
Actually, I'm gonna let Tina do this, but we had a meeting with the new safety officer with TAC, and after talking to him, these are kind of some of the things that he suggested, and we agreed. So we want to take, well, I'm gonna let Tina do it.
So currently we are sending all of our random CDL, new hire CDLs to Texpress. And we wanted, after speaking with Isaac at TAC, he had recommended that we go with someone that could fully go through with if there was a positive, if there was anything that came up on their CDL driver's license and so forth. That way they could file it and whatnot. So it would only be for new hire CDL, random and post-accident. I have listed the pricing there on the backup. And of course, like I said, they would report any positive alcohol and or drug testing. And that way it would be in compliance with the Federal Motor Carrier Safety.
So we want to use Texas drug and alcohol testing for the random and post-accident for the CDL only. So everything else would stay with Texpress. We just want to take those to follow all the compliance issues with the clearinghouse. We put those with Texas drug and alcohol testing.
Are they the ones working on the score?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
We were with them before. Why did we change?
That was before I started doing it.
Yeah.
And since it came back into my office, I'm not sure.
We
I
had
thought Bill got that changed.
we had two.
Sent him
We had them out there for new employees, and then these here were our random people. So we would hire them as new, then as soon as they got over here, we had to have it. So they went and they went 2 different places.
So
So
we're able to just enter them. They can still go to Tex Express and do the new, so we do the physical and the drug screen. And that way all the currents, they're not gonna have to go either. So we'll just add them into their database
Yeah.
and then they'll start being in the random pool.
okay.
Well, it does say on there, Amy, or who wants, you have 2 months to have the selected employee go in for testing once you've called. That kind of caught my eye. I mean, I know we don't wait no 2 months, but what is the deal with
Yeah, I
that?
didn't understand that either. That is good.
End of the first
Usually
paragraph.
you got to be there
Yeah.
within 8 hours. Oh.
It's on the first
First
page,
page.
second paragraph, right at the bottom where it says you have roughly 2 months to have the selected employee go in for testing. The last sentence, actually.
But when we hire them before they come to you, we'll have them, they'll be drug
Yes,
tested.
and so
there.
they will actually select the randoms for us. And to truly be random is what we were told. You have to have a pool of 200 employees. We only have 40, so they will pool us with other entities to come up with our true random list. But no, if they are selected, they have 8 hours to go or they're out of compliance.
Yeah, used to, they focused
Yeah.
in with TDC. And
I'll make the motion to approve agenda item number 20 as presented.
Moved and seconded, all in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries.
It's just a receive only.
Yeah, it was just, we just,
No action.
sorry. 21, discuss and take action to approve DPS driver record user agreement.
So we had previously had, well, we actually have a, agreement with, DTS now to run a driver's license check on, any new hires that have a CDL or any new hires that, are gonna be driving a county vehicle. And, we just wanted to update the user agreement so we can go forth and use them again. It would be done, like I said, all new hire CDL and non-CDL that drive a vehicle. And then, of course, a yearly driver's license check will be ran on all employees. We just need to update.
We've currently been doing that?
So we are not currently doing that. It was done in the past. Not sure to why.
This gets us where we need to be.
This
though.
is back into compliance.
Okay.
There is no charge. It's county government as well, so they will run them at no cost for us.
All right.
I moved to approve 21 as presented.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries. 22, discuss and take action on approving order 2024-22, Walker County Investment.
There are no changes to the investment policy. I just have to statutorily get it re-approved every year.
Motion to approve item 22 as presented.
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Amy.
Thank y'all.
Tina. Maintenance number 23, discuss and take action on removal of inoperable fire alarm system located in senior center. Larry?
This is the same fire alarm system we talked about last session. And we're just trying to get ahead of the game on this. We have a RFP process in right now with Cheryl's office to get proposals for a new system over there. But we are required to remove this one since we cannot put it into service. We're just looking for approval to go ahead and remove it while the RFP process is going on. Just to get it.
Okay, so it's definitely part one of.
Yeah, we can't fix it and we can't leave it, so we gotta clean it out anyways.
Go with it as it is.
It has to come out regardless, right?
Yeah.
As
And who's gonna take it out?
So we will.
Y'all do it yourself. That's my motion then, if you're gonna get it done. Get it out.
I'll second it. Move seconded, all in favor?
Thank you.
Motion carries. 24, discuss and take action on the purchase of 2 banners with Walker County logo for county sponsored events.
I believe you have a graphic in your pocket. And we're just asking to two basic generic black and white banners made with the county logo on them. Just to denote that the county's putting on different activities and things like that. Ones that are doing that. After communicating with Quentin, he suggested that we come to court to get approval to use the banner, use the logo on the banner.
So,
Used for various different types of events.
So like the other night during the parade, we can have one on each side. Larry does the tree giveaway with Texas Forest Service. When they come through, we have a banner saying that Walker County sponsoring this stuff.
Yeah.
That kind of a PR event for us.
Yeah.
So that's the idea behind the banners.
Few $100.
Yes, we get about $200 for this size right here.
Okay. I like that deal. I make the motion to approve agenda. 24.
Now, second it. All in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries. Thank you, Larry. 25, discuss and approve the purchase of a Canon IRADV DX 527 IF printer to be purchased out of the copier fund through DIR contract number CPO 4437 from Canon for the purchase price of $1,841.35 for Road and Bridge 1.
that'd be you.
That's me. So, yeah, Miss Cheryl has went out and found me a printer that's supposed to work. We talked to, Miss Patricia's office and kind of got an idea of what I needed. I didn't want one of the big ones, for sure, for money purposes. Usability, so This will suffice for what I want to do, and, I'm asking to take it out of the, copier fund. So
Your motion,
Motion
that's my motion.
second.
moved and seconded, all in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries. 26, discuss and take action on the transfer of fire truck FAS number 12517 from Walker County to Crabsbury ESD number 3. This is a fire truck. Andy, you may have to talk a little bit. This is a grant that you helped write in 2016-17 for Crabsbury to get a fire truck. It had to stay titled in a taxing entity, and now the ESD 3 is up and running. We want to transfer that fire truck out of us to ESD 3. So we're just cleaning up our titles.
It's actually theirs already.
It's already theirs. They're
Okay.
doing everything.
Okay.
We don't need it.
Yeah,
So-
but we hold the title.
Yeah.
And the only question I had for it is, and it may be for Quentin, I guess, more than anything is, it was bought with a grant. So the longevity of the grant, where does it fall?
On the language of the grant.
Yeah, and that was only my question.
Only thing you could probably go forward with this, just contingent upon, we probably need to check to make sure that the grant doesn't require some notification of.
Yeah. Cause they talked about that it had to stay under the taxing entity.
Yeah.
That's why we're going to ESD 3, not Crabsbury. But
But the money was everything was
was,
run through the
yeah.
county at the time. And so, like I said, that was my only question with it.
I'll make a motion with contingency. We check the grant and everything's good to go.
I'll give you a second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries. Thank you, Ms. Cheryl.
I am
Yes,
sure
ma'am.
it's easy to say, right?
28, discuss and take action on agreement with Walker County Emergency Service District number 1 for emergency medical services in the Riverside area.
All right, I will start the narrative on this. I know you end up EMS director and chair of our ESD board. For a while, I have anyway, and our board has been talking about ambulance service in the Riverside area. We've been up here several times, just conversation, and as a part of the last budget, we kind of made a verbal commitment to work with them if they started the process and put a facility in place and worked out a plan out there. So over the last couple of months or so, especially visiting, and this last Wednesday, we had an ESD board meeting. Just hold there and let me turn the narrative over to y'all from right there, if that's all right.
So just to leave the Olsen, he has to do. So we have had this conversation for actually like years and years. It's been going on. So about 25% of our call volume is out in the Riverside, Dodge, Thomas Lake area. We do have a longer response to get out there, sometimes 15 minutes or more, which is kind of double what our ideal response time is. So I kind of run a few reports just for like some simple information for you guys. Monday, Tuesday, and Fridays for this year are our busiest days of the week from January 1st through now. And then 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. are kind of our busiest days, or I'm sorry, busiest time of day. And we're right at about 9,200 calls for the year this year in general. So call volume everywhere is increasing. We're having all this growth that you guys are well aware of. So just trying to, from a county like EMS standpoint, plan for the future. This is a good thing to get us to the future, as an additional truck and crews or a squad or something where we can start going in that right direction. And they are willing to kind of work with us and house us and kind of have the same agreement that's down in ESD2, where they house us, but we maintain obviously all of the operations of EMS.
Thanks.
For them.
I have a little summary that I'll give for your consideration about where we've been talking for several years. I've been on this ESD board for 7 years. Welcome to be here. And I just thank you all for the privilege to let me serve in that capacity. So the main thing I want to emphasize is that our board is looking at long-term solutions, which is my first point here. And we have, several years ago, we passed a sales tax more than doubling our budget. And that has allowed us to begin to look towards a future that was more than just funding the 3 volunteer fire departments, and to look toward a more adequate, perhaps, paid duty crew solution for fire response, as well as supporting the medical response. So we have a long-term plan that involves acquiring property and building a permanent structure. But that will take a couple years at least, or more, you know, how building projects go. And so what we'd like to do is put in place a short-term plan right away for both EMS support, but also for a fire duty crew. So we're moving forward on both of those fronts, what I've described on this summary sheet. And so the solution we're looking for is, you know, there's been much discussion about ambulances and the costs involved in that. And the new data collection system for the county that's going to enable us to know whether that is exactly what we need or not. So we're willing for a short-term solution, perhaps 2 to 3 years, to just work with a squad, a fully equipped Tahoe with a paramedic, 1 or 2 personnel, and to support them with our fire duty crew. I think this would be a good return on investment for funds that are available, and allow us time to collect the data to determine exactly when and where and if we should put a fully equipped ambulance crew out in Riverside. But we'd like to get moving on something and not wait for years to project a future ambulance in addition to the fleet that we already have, and a future building that we don't even have a plan for yet. We just don't want to wait. We want to move forward. So I want to make clear that in parallel to the plan to work with EMS on medical, we will be putting in a paid fire duty crew as well. I don't yet know whether that'll be 512 or 447 or what. We're in the process of determining that, but they will be available to support the squad, even if we only have 1 paramedic.
Yeah. Okay,
So Rachel, why don't you go over what this is going to entitle, what you envision on needing?
So if we put in an ambulance and crews, we would need an additional ambulance to our fleet and 6 personnel to staff it. We could run that ambulance either as a basic life support ambulance or a mobile intensive care unit. That's how we're licensed in the state to run our ambulances. So we could do that. The other option would be a squad, which would be a Tahoe. Ideally, it would be a paramedic and also paramedic or an EMT. The issue with kind of a squad is, and only having 1 person on it, is a safety issue. I mean, I wouldn't want to be on a squad and go somewhere at 2 o'clock in the morning by myself with no help. And that's how the majority of our staff would feel. So from a safety standpoint, it would really need to be 2 people on that vehicle as well. What the squad could do is kind of shorten up those response times. It could do, you know, we get a lift assist. They could go out, assist with that. That's not necessarily something that an ambulance needs to go to. So they could disregard the ambulance and that ambulance would remain in service. Things like refusals, things that don't necessarily require an ambulance transport. They could assist with that while keeping our ambulances in service. So that's kind of one way we could go with it, but it would really need to be 2 people on that unit as well. Because there's just a lot of things that 1 medic or 1 EMT can't do by themselves, and it's a safety concern. So those are kind of like the 2 options. Like either way, we ideally would need to bring on 6 people to fill that role, which we don't currently have. So we would need to hire for those. As far as the units, ambulance, you would have a fully stocked ambulance like we currently have in our fleet. We went a squad route, it would be set up more like our district chiefs, our field supervisors are set up. They would need a cardiac monitor, a Lucas device, drugs, intubation equipment, oxygen, things like that. So they can actually run a call and stabilize a patient until an ambulance gets there. So a little bit less cost to go that route, but ultimately, I mean, they would still need a lot of equipment to fit that unit.
So basically 6 people. Is that what I heard you say?
I think so. One thing they struggle with out there, especially during the daytime, is just the lack of response to medical calls. There's nobody out there. The fire departments themselves are struggling for people, which is one reason they're pushing hard for the duty crew. And they just get, so a lot of times the ambulance service went out there. Huntsville, dispatch, and go out there. So I think it's shown itself that we need somebody out there. It's just to be able to respond. to what we do.
How quick are we looking at this cranking up? I guess whoever needs to answer that question, are you looking like you got a spot for our people now, or are you down the road, or?
My understanding is that it would take some time to get a vehicle and get it equipped. And we have a couple of options for where we would house it. A backup option is Riverside Station 2, which they have donated to the ESD. So we have taken possession of that. So that could be a backup option. That's on Sterling Chapel. My understanding is that everybody's not very enthusiastic about that because it's a little bit off the beaten path and it's not that much closer to Riverside than the current resources that are available.
Yeah.
And so we do have, we're negotiating right now for another location closer to Riverside. That's on 19 that I can't talk too much about in public meeting. But that is our preferred location. And if we get that property, we would put a portable housing unit on it, kind of like what the oil field, temporary units are, and build a garage for the vehicle. Short-term plan, remember, is our goal here. So we need an adequate facility for a few years while we're building a permanent facility for the EMS crew and the vehicle. So I think I don't know if it takes a few months, 5 months. Vehicle, I think we could have housing available during that span of time.
I think, like working with purchasing, they've been really great at like helping us kind of procure the things that we need. We didn't have a super long wait on our recent Tahoes that we got. I mean, usually 6 months to get them. The upfitting is relatively quickly. I think the longer items it would take to order would be like things like cardiac monitors or Lucas devices, but I can reach out to those vendors and see kind of what the lead times are on those.
So you're thinking, go ahead, Brent.
I think that we're all here trying to do basically the same thing, but I don't see a plan. I don't see it. We're gonna get this, we're gonna get that. I think as court, y'all need to come to us and say, hey, we want to do this, and we're doing it right here. This is the location. This is what we're doing. As far as the Tahoe or whatever, that's really the ESD's, in my opinion only. That's really the ESD's deal. When you hire your duty crew, you hire EMTs. That gets your first point there until we can get that ambulance there. And numbers, Rachel just give us a few numbers, but we don't have anything to look at. I mean, when you start looking at numbers, you start looking at Starling Ridge, you start looking at Riverside. Maybe it needs to be in Dodge. I don't know what the numbers are, but I'd like to see something. I mean, the fire department still give y'all reports every month, right? So can we get all that together and put it in a presentation so that we can move forward on this?
Well, we have, how many years ago? 10 years ago, 8.
The Sam Houston.
Sam
study
Houston
done.
evaluation.
It
Yeah.
was the year I started, so 7 years.
7 years ago, we did vote from Sam Houston State, and I guess you weren't on the court at that time, but that was brought up here, and that recommendation was to put the station in the Riverside area. Like I said, I keep saying we. Anyway, they're looking at, there's 2 different options for a place. And I think they're gonna move on those. If worst case, it goes in the ditch. Sterling Chapel is a place. And nothing else. It gets us as a county emergency medical people out there in that area, that we're not calling from Highway 19 and leaving this place open while we go out there, and even having to bring up the one from New Waverly if this stuff gets busy. So I think they just gave us a plan. We're going to buy a vehicle. We're going to find a spot. We'll have something in a few months in place. They can't go forward with anything until we say we're coming, until we say you build it, we'll come. There's no reason to go buy a piece of property and put a plan and put a building on it if they show up and we're like, no, I don't think so.
Yeah.
So
Well, I think back in budget, didn't
We
we?
already set aside money to.
We got some
Say
money
we're
set aside, right?
committed.
right.
We have it from a contingency for the current
Right.
year, then
I
it would
think
need to
about
be
half of the-
addressed.
half
Yeah.
of The fund.
I think
That's showing our commitment
Five
right
hundred
there.
I
thousand.
thought we did.
Yeah.
That's a one-time type.
Yeah,
of
Right,
it's not
right.
figured in the tax
Yeah.
rate.
Funded through.
But we talked about doing that contingent on our new CAD program to adjust where we needed to put it. Cause it might have been, we need to move it over toward the edge of 3 and 1 on 980 somewhere. We didn't know. That's what we spent the money for on the CAD system to upgrade it to tell us where to put it.
My understanding is that we're just at the beginning of
Right.
that data collection.
I mean, we've committed money putting another crew on.
Well, you can put, I'll say this, we keep kicking the can down the road. Now, so every time it shows up, we have a reason not to, we have a reason to, let's wait. And I mean, there's $500,000 sitting over there in a contingency fund. But until there's a vote that says, let's go do it, then it's nothing. It's zero. It can be nothing. It can still be a no vote when that comes up. If after a year or two of this thing running out there in that area, the numbers come back and they say, hey, we're seeing a lot of action over here on 980, 247. We know that precinct 1, ESD 3, Crash Prairie area, they probably going to need service out there too at some point in time. So this one there, does that get you half of what you really wanted? This year, you have an organization that's willing to put a building, take care of the maintenance of the building and just put it in there. Let's do that and make the big important change and upgrade our service in the county that we all know we need to do, not just because it's in Riverside, but every time that ambulance leaves Huntsville and goes out there, there's one less here in town.
Sometimes it's just for a transfer or.
Yeah,
Can't get
yeah.
up or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the nice thing, if you put a squad, the ability to do a transfer goes away. It's not like the ambulance goes out there and picks them up and has to take them to Conroe. It's like, hey, we do need an ambulance. Ambulance comes out and picks them up, takes them to Conroe. The squad area, it's still in Riverside. There's that area out there is huge retirement community. It's huge older people. I mean, it's a pretty busy call. Like I said, 25% of our calls goes out to that area. So
Within our district, easily 85%, it may be higher, of the calls are in Riverside. Like have less than 15 calls
Yeah.
a month, and Dodge maybe 20.
Riverside does
But
100.
Riverside has over 100 calls every month. So there's no question about, based on call volume, I'm happy to bring whatever data we can bring, but it's a top heavy, district with two tiny little districts or two tiny locales in Riverside. I did intend for this to be kind of a meeting of the minds, if you will, rather than a detailed proposal. Because as Bill said, we don't want to invest our resources in this if it's not something the commissioners would support. And that's why I attached to this just a draft. You can see it's even marked up in red of the agreement that we would propose. It's a proposal. And this is the same agreement, my understanding, that you have with ESD 2, except of course with the changes that don't specify that it's an ambulance, but specify ambulance or squad. So it leaves that determination to Rachel's crew as to what would be. We may find we don't need, that a squad is adequate out there in a couple of years, and we don't need to put a lot of resources into an ambulance. Maybe this will meet the need,
Well, I think, I mean, back during budget, you did justify, I mean, go ahead, and run the numbers. Dylan, and Rachel had got together and dispatch. So we know the need is there.
Yeah.
The only hangup I see is where. So, we need a definite, are y'all, I'll be honest with you, I'm out on Sterling Chapel. It's too close.
Okay.
Riverside is where it's needed. That's to me where it needs to be. So what are y'all gonna do as far as housing in Riverside?
We are actively engaged in the pursuit of a property that is close to Riverside.
Okay,
But even if that were not to be achieved, which I believe it will be within 30 days, but if it were not, we could house this facility and crew or we could create this facility at Riverside Station 1. I
okay,
mean, that could be
It could go.
our last ditch effort. We want that, it's not a large property there, and we want to put our fire duty crew on that piece of property. We could put both. We have to build two, separate housing facilities there. But
well, and that's where I
that
was
would
going
be,
with.
I guess that would be my answer
Yeah.
would be, if our other preferred option fails, we could put it at Station One.
Well, I mean, you know, the duty crew is set aside, that's y'all's business, in my opinion. You know, if we're gonna commit to it, then we need a place.
Yep.
And regardless if the deal on Highway 19 goes through or not, I think that's the kind of commitment I think we need.
Yeah.
I
You
can
know.
admit that we would go to Station One rather than Sterling Chapel if that is the variable that determines support from the
And
commissioners.
one thing in the proposed agreement, the wording is that at a location mutually agreeable by both parties, Walker County and the ESD. Just, I mean, they can make proposals. So it's really like 3 locations out there with opportunities
Yeah.
still.
This is more of a memorandum of understanding that we're seeking so that we feel comfortable putting out the money that we need to purchase property and to
Yeah.
move forward. with.
We're all playing chicken. We're waiting on y'all to commit. You're waiting on us to commit. We're all wanting to commit.
I-
So the
I feel like I wanted to bring this because it's a different concept. We've been talking about an ambulance for 5 years. In fact, the
Yeah.
4 commissioners, including Clint, who's now, was just voted in, none of the other 3 commissioners were even aware of this plan to potentially put a squad there
Right.
until I informed them about it at our meeting this week.
Mhm.
Because I have 3 commissioners, none of whom have a full year yet in the
Right.
chair, and now 4. So I'm the only veteran who has been on this board since the Sam Houston came and did that presentation and we explored these squad options and then it moved over to ambulance and
Yeah.
that's what it feels like. We're all waiting for a long-term plan and exorbitant resource to be expended. We want to keep focus on that long-term plan, but in the meantime, let's just get moving and get some help for our people in our district.
Well, and this gives us options too. I mean, you know, it backs off on the price a little bit.
Right.
But in the grand scheme of things, it gives us a place to collect some information that's
Yeah. It does.
really needed, but
It does.
so I guess, Rachel, do you have any numbers, any idea of what of that $500,000 or $600,000 we set aside you're gonna need?
It was gonna be right at $1 million to do an ambulance and 6 people to completely outfit the ambulance with everything we were gonna. So, going with the squad, a lot of that would fall off, so I can get for you guys, like at the next meeting, actual number of what that would be. But I would imagine that obviously that would take, I mean, you're looking at an ambulance itself that's close to $300,000 just for the ambulance at this
Yeah.
point. And then a Tahoe is, you know, significantly cheaper, obviously, than an ambulance. So I think.
Well, we only have that certain amount of money set aside
See, that
and,
was-
you know, and it's not even figured in the tax rate. So
It's not, as my thoughts were that they are a few months away from even hiring these people. So if we put in 500, is it 565, something like that? It's somewhere in that general area. If we put that much money in there, we're probably looking at spending a third of that money, because probably $100,000 plus or minus for a Tahoe.
Yeah.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah, kind of rig it out. I mean.
Yeah, for a Tahoe, and then the people, if you figure, you know, 65, 70,000 a piece, that's $400,000 a year, you know, for all 6 people. And if we use half of that, that's 200. You're looking at 350,000 of that fund in this fiscal.
Get some more.
I would like some hard numbers.
Okay,
We're also willing for if you give Rachel a budget and it turns out to be 12s and not 24s or 5, we just want to get started. We want to start somewhere. And if we can't staff it 24/7 with 2 people.
Yeah.
Well, you know, what can we do?
Well-
What can we do for the money that's available to us? We'll start.
okay, so in the agreement here,
That's out.
oh, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, we definitely need a financial plan for this step 1. And then identify funding sources. Any of the equipment, is anything gonna be funded by the ESD? Is it 100% county? But the court needs a financial plan to back
Move
up
forward,
the contract.
Yeah.
Okay. We can do that by the next meeting. Sure, okay. And then, let's say we get that's back. I think the important part of the agreement, and it's still got some line out, so we need to fix that. Now let's fix it by the next time, is the at a location to be agreed upon by both entities. So the court will work with the ESD to an agreed upon spot. They're gonna come and say, hey, we want to put it here, here, or here. And once we're good with that, then we're agreed upon, and that to me is when, okay, now we're ready to start hiring people or whatever. It's not going to be it gives us the ability to say we're not quite ready to go there yet, but it does put a signature on a piece of paper saying this court has officially said we're going to partner with you. Hit your benchmark of finding us a location that we can all agree on, that we fall in behind and start the staffing process behind that. So it's not a just go hire people and wait. It's still the onus is still on the ESD to find a location that we all agree upon and say, okay, now we can move forward with it. So it sounds like we're coming back next meeting with a few things from you guys, a financial plan, financial impact, stuff like that. So no action today, I don't think.
Oh, Quentin, have you looked at this agreement? You see any major changes?
One is related to what the commissioner just said. The contingency term is that the location be mutually agreeable. And if you were to sign the agreement prior to determining what that location is, how long?
Yeah.
How long does how long does that debate go? How long does that discussion go? I anticipate that it'll be remedied very quickly and it's not really going to be a problem. That, if, maybe even through an informal discussions here, they could present some of their options to the court. And
I mean,
if you could do that ahead of time so that the agreement actually could be modified to at this location.
Reflect the
that
location.
would help. It's not a complete deal breaker at all.
because really they just have 3 spots. They've got location 1, which we really don't want to talk about. They got location 2, which we might be able to talk about. And location 3 being the Riverside Volunteer Fire Department. So if all of those 3 locations it might be an executive session thing because a couple are some negotiations.
Happy to discuss the real estate in executive session.
So let's do that.
Can't do that.
We do it our next meeting.
Actually, my recommendation is for the ESD to determine the location they want to use and then present that to the court, say, this is what we want to use. Is that agreeable? If it's agreeable, then we write that into the agreement and we go.
Yeah, and we had one in this one, but it was Sterling Chapel, so I recommended that they X that one out. I knew that was kind of dead on our own. So, all right, let's talk about it in a couple of weeks.
And it's still gonna be a floating crew, right? I mean, we get a call that we need somebody
Yes.
out 30, they're still gonna go
And the
there.
thing is, we're still.
They're not
hitting
tied to that
level-
one district.
Exactly.
We're still hitting level 0 like nearly every day. Like it's pretty rare at this point that we don't hit level 0. So if for some reason all the calls are, west or north or whatever, yes, we would have to pull that. That's not it stays here all the time. So I mean, it still benefits the whole county.
Absolutely does, yeah.
And that's the kind of goal.
With what you said about level 0, it goes to my point about a squad versus an ambulance. Not a fan of the squad. If we need more boxes, that's what we go towards. That's what we need to gravitate to. The other thing that bothers me about a squad is I honestly believe that's the duty of the ESD. So if we put a squad out there, then what's to say that Crabs Prairie is not next in line? What's to say that Dodge?
Oh, they
is not
will
next
be.
in line?
Us. Us.
Yeah,
We're the ones that make the decision.
But the
Yeah.
question will be
Oh,
coming.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But I
The
mean,
thing is, we do have 2 areas in the county that are experiencing this increased call volume, increased population, increased everything. So the growth is coming, the need for an ambulance definitely there.
I mean, ESD3 is already talking, that they're ready to get going.
Mhm.
So,
yeah, but then, I mean.
I
like
know they're
said,
way down the road, but
Yeah.
And that's the cool thing, I think, about something like a squad, that you could have it out there for a couple of years. And if they say, yeah, you know what, we need an ambulance, but we're also, some of our ambulances are starting to cycle back to some of the
Yeah.
newer ones that we bought. And even, remounting one versus spending the $300 and something thousand. There's a little bit of flexibility there, and maybe the squad jumps out to Credit Spring. That's what happens.
Well,
I mean,
and
there's a lot of options. There's a lot of options.
there is. I mean, even with the squad,
Yeah.
if you see the squad works for a year or 2 years or whatever, till you need an ambulance out there for sure.
Yeah.
Then you budget in the ambulance, the squad is already figured into your tax rate and you roll it to Crabs Prairie somewhere.
if the ESD,
But you gotta vote for the tax rate.
but if ESD puts on a duty crew with a medic and fire, they can make those first calls and say, yeah, we need an ambulance, or no, we don't.
Yeah.
And that'll help us determine too.
We have the ESO CAD integration, which we're working with Anthony and ESO and all of the dispatch stuff to get that going. We will be able to compile very much more specific data than what the county or
dispatch or us is able to do. So that'll be super nice.
Yeah, and result, you could roll that squad into an ambulance anyway,
Absolutely.
you know, so that would be,
You'd already have your manpower for the most
Yeah.
part.
Yeah, we would have 6 people.
Yep.
Either way to put into a truck or
so.
Okay.
lots of options.
We get to work, come back.
See you in 2 weeks. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, I think we've kicked it far enough. We really need to help
Yeah.
out,
Amen.
you know, so.
So we'll take no action on 28. Thank you. 29, discuss and take action on the appointment of James Gregory to the Board of Emergency Service District Number 2, a 2-year term.
James been on the board for a while. I think ESD two is doing great. I'd like to make the motion to approve his appointment to the ESD board number 2.
Moved and seconded, all in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carried. Number 30, discuss and take action on appointment of Thomas Malik to the Board of Emergency Service District Number 2 for a 2-year term.
Same spiel. I'd like to make the motion to appoint Thomas Malik to the ESD board number 2.
Moved and seconded, all in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries. 31, discuss and take action on appointment of Jane Ellis to the Board of Emergency Service District Number 2 for a 2-year term.
Make the motion to appoint Jane Elliser to the board of ESD number 2.
I gotta do that second. It's Miss Jane. Second.
You got the Jane? Moved and seconded, all in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries. 32, discuss and take action on the interlocal agreement between Harris County and Walker County for the performance of postmortem examinations by Harris County Institute of Forensic Science. This is our backup to our primary, just in case they can't take anything. That's my motion.
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries. Number 33, discuss and take action on right-of-way acquisition report for Elbert Jean Hoke on Morgan Road in the Cyrus Wixon Survey A-577.
Andrew? I got it. I mean, there's, short ways there, but we do need the right of way. Anytime we get right of way, it's a great thing. Especially for the way we get it, just building them a fence and setting it back, so. I think it's 739 foot. It's on Morgan Road at the intersection, kind of the intersection of Morgan and, whoops, and Birdwell.
Yeah.
In between those. So that's my motion to approve.
I'll second that.
All in favor, raise your right hand. I'll be present, not voting. That's 4. The motion passes. 34, discuss and take action on acceptance of right-of-way easement from Elbert Jean Hoke on Morgan Road in the Cyrus Wixon Survey A-577.
Exact same thing, just the other part of it. So I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second that.
All in favor, raise your right hand. Present, not voting. 35, discuss and take action on Texas Mudgeon Enterprises LLC request for waiver of the fees for submittal number 4 on the My Family RV Park. Permit number 2023-023-RV, William Lindley Survey A323 US 190. And
Good morning, Court.
Come on, Jimmy.
LLC. It's the RV park located out on 190 and 2296 behind the dollar store. And we presented with court the original plan, marked to y'all as the whole plan. And I wasn't aware of until I turned it in to Andy, looked at it, that it had to go to DECQ for approval of commercial aerobic system. They're now handling commercial aerobic systems. So you'll see this 190 up front here. Whole plan. The aerobic systems where they're going to be. And they did not like that. I got a feeling they didn't like it because it's right behind the dollar store. Told us that we need to redesign it. So we did, which has cost us more time, more money. Had to redesign totally the whole RV park, which I've got a copy of. Is actually reversing all the spots, reversing, putting the aerobic system to the very back behind the pond there, detention pond. So they made us, of course, it's made us be our 4th time to present it to y'all, to Andy's, and that's the policy we got about the fees. And I thought, well, y'all might be merciful. It wasn't our fault that we had to go through all this, that we had to represent it, the planning and development, that y'all might be kind enough to waive those fees. Those fees are about $5,300. And I'd say, oh, we've done it, just throwed money up in the air and had to start over. So anyway, that's where we're at. I'm here today to ask the court consideration of waiving the fees because of agency and the park and to move the aerobic system to the back.
Jimmy, you already paid them fees once, right?
I have paid fees, yes, sir. I paid about $20,000 so far to planning and development to Walker County.
Where does the aerobic system for the Dollar General go?
You know,
That's on the other property.
right.
Okay.
It's on their property.
So it sprays where on this?
Actually, I believe.
It's a drip line. It's a drip.
Okay.
It's totally a different
All
system.
right. So it's the injection system.
It's off of this site.
All right.
And they were lucky enough to get it up and running and not have to go through TCEQ.
So this rule changed when, first of the year or something?
The state reinterpreted the rule. There was no rule change here. The state has reinterpreted the rule. So that effectively is a rule change for the whole state.
All right.
It has to do mainly with systems they're using above ground disposal and aerobic. They consider them non-standard systems now and don't allow local review. Historically, my entire career, I've been but they shifted that within the last year, or so. Only on commercial property. Yeah, it doesn't affect residential as long as it's not multifamily that's considered under their definition of a typical or non-standard. So we're still doing bulk of our stuff we're still able to do. And we actually have to do the permitting on these and then send it back and forth working with the landowner to TCEQ. So it's a lot of fun, a lot of added fun for us. We didn't, I want to be clear, we didn't ask for this. This was something that was put on us.
So that being said, Andy, moving forward, so this doesn't happen again, how do we address it?
Well, okay, so just so you guys are on the same page with me, so our fee that he's talking about is not the on-site wastewater review fee. We're not charging any additional for on-site wastewater review fees. Our fee is for the subdivision application that we charge that fee up front. And then because of him having to relocate everything, we're having to re-review the infrastructure, the drainage and all that, because it was in the back of the lot. And, you know, with land, it doesn't all sit the same. So when they moved it and kind of redesigned it, move it up toward the front, he had to pay his guys to redesign all that and redraw it up. And I've got to have it reviewed in its new location. So the bulk of this fee is the 25% add-on of the original fee. There's only $350 of this that has to do with all the reconfiguration. They went ahead and added 4 additional spots in. So of the 5,362, 350 is from the 4 additional spaces. The 5,012.32 is from the re-review fee under the subdivision regulations.
Okay, but there again, moving forward, I mean.
So, I mean,
how do we fix this annoyance again?
The only way that you could do it orderly, if this is gonna trigger, if this, system design triggers it, is get the system approved up front before site design occurs, right? But it's difficult because it's a little bit of a chicken and the egg problem because you need some amount of site design to figure out kind of.
Yeah, how much you're going to
do. A lot, how many, what size system you need and all that. So it is certainly something that has to be well coordinated on the design side, no doubt about it.
I think they made it a heck of a lot more complicated.
Yeah, well, it makes it more complicated in that the local reviewers can't give sort of a heads up of where things.
Absolutely. I mean, it's changed.
So,
It's
Then it
changed.
goes to the state or
Tremendously.
sits there on their desk for 2 to 3 weeks or whatever.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, this changed the whole design of the whole RV park.
Hurts people trying to do something.
Right, so moving, and so the on-site wastewater system on this particular application has never received a no comment letter from the state.
It's continued to have been reviewed and submitted back, and we have a set of plans in there right now being looked at. We did get to final approval on the IDP contingent upon final approval of the OSSF, but they have not received. Now, I don't know of specific comments or conversations about locations of spray field. I can't attest to that. Where it will fit and where it won't. There are setback requirements on the spray field. There's slope requirements on the on the spray field. And so making that all work is of course a coordinated design issue.
So what do you tell a commercial guy that comes in now? Like, let's say Jimmy came in tomorrow and said, hey, I've got this great idea for an RV park. I want to do it. Do you tell him go?
Typically in the commercial world, when you're using on-site wastewater design, because of the amount of real estate it uses up, should be one of your first looks. Like I've dealt with several people that have done commercial sites over the years, and they kind of think about it last, right? And so you can easily use your whole site up and struggling to they're in better shape than some, in that they didn't pull the trigger on starting pouring concrete and all that kind of stuff to determine I need to pull some of that back up to put my septic system in, you know?
Yeah.
So it could be even worse off than they are now, in that they haven't invested into the actual pouring of the concrete, caught it before they actually went forward with construction.
Okay.
But yes, I think looking at the on-site sewage system first is and in conjunction with the plans is the way to go.
All right.
So it's somebody's opinion on one side or the other is all it really amounts
Yeah,
to. If they don't like it.
Yeah, and that's really
But
what
you
I,
got a local guy that drawed it up, did like it.
Yeah, the
It's
state
government is what it
state
is.
does the actual code. Courts approved this. I will include this plat. No, the revised IDP hasn't been done. It's being reviewed because it was submitted as a fourth submittal, which was a modification of what the court had already approved. So it's currently being reviewed right now. He allowed it to be submitted contingent upon whether or not he was going to get this approved or not get this approved. If he doesn't get approved by court, then he'll pay the fee. But we didn't want to hold up the project on the decision.
Mike, and I asked Mr. Henry this. What criteria, TCEQ use? Why did they change his other ones? I don't know if they tell you that.
They use the 285 code. So when the TCEQ does the review, they'll cite everything back to the 285 code, which is the code we review under.
So they looked at his other one and said, this didn't hit 285.
He got a letter back from TCEQ on each review. There's a letter that they send out that we forward to the applicant that lists the things that need to be addressed.
Yeah.
So there wasn't anything in the latest that specifically says you can't use the back of the lot. But it did say, the spray field need to be set back. It listed, there's impacts on that.
Yeah. And
his design group, I guess, has decided that this is a better configuration, more likely to get approved by TCEQ.
So they haven't seen this one yet.
TCEQ is looking at this one.
Looking at it right now.
I'm at the mercy of TCEQ, at the mercy of everybody.
And
Merry
the
Christmas.
TCEQ though, it's not just, do we like it, do we not like it? They're actually reviewing against the 285 code, but interpretation is always critical when you have a rule. Right?
Yeah.
And so they don't always interpret everything the same way that the local jurisdictions interpret things. Obviously, the state interpreted the county's ability to review high-strength wastewater for my entire career a different way than they interpret it today.
Yeah.
Including training me and my staff on how to review high-strength wastewater systems. Now they claim the law doesn't allow us to review.
You can't do that.
Somebody at the top got mad at somebody in a local county, and they said, we're gonna take control from them. That's what it's done.
So this is from, I tell everybody now, when you're doing a commercial, get your on-site wastewater plans in up front as early as you can, so you can get feedback as early as you can.
Okay.
All right, well, that's kind of what I.
Better than no.
Yeah, well, I mean, like I said, this is kind of a
Unique
first time,
situation.
yeah,
Caught up in it.
first time deal and,
There's only two portions of the fee that are not subject to the 25%. That would be the 4-lot ad at $350. And then if there's a change because of the change in design of the total construction cost that they paid a percentage of up front, that's not added in because we don't have that there may not be it may be the same. They relocated a lot of concrete, but they didn't necessarily increase the concrete. So.
Yeah.
Those are the two, but so I need court to be specific. You waiving all fees associated with the fourth submittal? Or
Yeah.
The 25%, resubmittal fee.
You know, my thoughts for what it's worth, my, and I guess I can make it in the form of a motion. You know, I'm not a big fan of fee waiving in general, but we have these that kind of cross over as things change behind the scenes. And he did his homework and he had a good plan. And then it went and it, for whatever reason, and they said no. And he wouldn't have had these 4 extra lots if his original plan had been approved. He'd been there too. So my motion is going to be just kind of based on everything the way it is, and we're changing going forward. I'm making the motion that we just waive the fees on that development. That's my motion.
I'll give you a second on that.
Moving second, all in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Good luck, Jimmy. Good luck.
36,
You'll need it.
discuss and take action on variance requests of subdivision regulations for Walker County plat number 2023-047, Lauderdale JA 328, track 4, acres 10, APN 18227, Walker County, requested by William Bell Group LLC, Law Williams, Precinct 3.
So our right of way requirement is 35 feet on the road, our new regulations. The existing right of way that's shown on the plat is a single. We've done the road. Their request is essentially to be allowed to use the to be allowed to
Maintain.
60-foot right of way. Additional right of way to the property.
Yeah.
We have considered some of these in the past. We consider this tough for court, literally.
No, you never did it.
It's in an area that bunch of property owners, everybody around him is 60 feet and we really got there for that. Is there, okay, so there's a 20-foot utility easement inside the property line. That's like
Bigger.
Yeah, can we zoom in on that, Liz? That's what I'm saying. It's a 20-foot.
There's a 20-foot utility easement and 25-foot building setback line.
Yeah, so it's plenty far back. Like I say, that part of the world, I mean, it is back in the country back there, and the road itself it's not very wide. I would be okay with leaving it at 60. I mean, 5 extra feet on that side of the road is not going to change. It's not going to change anything over there on that side, especially. So my motion is going to. Are we voting on this yet? Or this isn't the workshop part, right? This is the
This is
agenda.
it.
This
This is the agenda. Yeah, I'm gonna make the
Yeah,
motion. Yeah, I'll make the motion. We grant the variance on this, on leaving it at 60. But being that it has a 20-foot inside the fence, I can tell people to go in there with water and telephone and stuff.
Moved in second, all in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries. No executive session, any public comments, non-agenda items. Questions from the media? Commissioners Court,
I got an inch and a half rain. Go get.
I ain't getting nothing. All right, meeting